So billing and pricing. You need to compare and contrast various pricing models, recognize the various account structures in relation to AWS billing, and all the resources that are there to support billing. So compute time spent, e.g. EC2 instance uptime. Those are the pricing concepts. Storage, how much data is actually being stored. So the data you store in EBS. Data transfer, remember that data transfer out of and between some regions, that's when you start paying, but in the same region, you don't really bother. There's no cost, but data transfer between regions, that's where there's some pricing coming in. Access, how many times you have accessed a service. Some of the services that comes up is like the AWS cost planning tools. You have the AWS Tco Calculator, which enables organizations to determine what could be saved by leveraging cloud infrastructure. Remember, you use this service when you want to move to cloud and you want to ask yourself, what is it that I will save if I move to the cloud? That's when you are using the TCO calculator. Then you have the simple multi-calculator enables organization to calculate the cost of running specific AWS infrastructure. Again, there's no shortcut to this apart from finding a way on how to understand and remember them. So these are when you're thinking of planning tools, you have the TCO calculator, and it has to do with when you are moving to the cloud and you want to figure out how much you can save. The simple multi-calculator, cost of running specific AWS infrastructure. So notice here that it's saying cost of running specific AWS, sorry, should be resources here. Specific AWS infrastructure, resources, yeah. Now, Cost Explorer is an easy to use interface that lets you visualize, understand, and manage your AWS cost and usage over time. When you think of Cost Explorer, think of a visual diagram that you are seeing everything. So it provides cost breakdowns, including by service, cost stack, predictions for the next 3 months, of course, recommendations for cost optimization. So yeah, it's always, we've touched this. If you've not looked at it, just go to AWS Cost Explorer on Amazon. You will see the graphs there. And always remember that when you're thinking Cost Explorer, easy to use interface that lets you visualize and understand how cost is going. Is completely different from the cost and usage reports. This is one you should remember that is always what I want to refer to here is that data is always delivered in CSV format and is stored in the S3 bucket. It's stored in a S3 bucket that you specify. So it lists AWS users for each service category used by an account and its IMI users in an hourly or daily line items, as well as any tags that you have activated for cost allocation purposes. When you are creating resources, you can decide to give them tags, and this will be added when the cost and in the AWS cost and usage reports. So you can customize them, to maybe generate usage per hour or daily or monthly. But the key thing is that the raw data, so you can take the cost and usage report and generate your own visual dashboard to your own taste, apart from the one that you have when you're running the Cost Explorer. So not those differences. Costs, AWS budgets. Well, you can set up custom budgets and stay informed of how your cost and usage progresses and respond quickly when cost or usage exceeds thresholds. We have seen questions in that, so make sure you have that. Set up event-driven alert notification when an actual or forecast cost or usage exceed your budget limit. So you can do a lot with AWS budgets, but I just want to highlight those key 2 points. AWS organizations, again, I brought this here because we are talking about cost. And with AWS organizations, you have the ability to leverage consolidated billing for all your accounts. Remember that with AWS billing, you have a you centrally govern your environment as it grows. So if you have so many accounts, the first thing is AWS organizations helps you to have one single master account, and you pay only through that account, or the billing will come through that account, or payment, I should say, is paid under that account. And then the consolidated billings, and then enable organizations to also centralize login and security standards. So it's a very important service that everyone should capture. We did review how to read these AWS support plans. It's a, yeah, you can't with this apart from knowing it. And there is a very basic way. You look at the developer. We always know that the developer, these are AWS support plans. So when you're an AWS customer, you may require some support from AWS. And the support that AWS can give you is divided into 4 different categories. We have the basic. I've not listed that here, but I'll mention it at the end. You have the developer, you have the business, and the enterprise. And for each of these, specific support is given when when you need a particular service, be it, let's say, recommendation, enhanced technical support, case severity. And so for each of these support plans, there is a certain support that will come to you. So when should you use the developer? So the first thing is you should ask, when should you use the developer plan? So if I'm using AWS service, when should I use the developer plan? If it's only recommend if I'm testing, if I'm just testing services, um, then I can use that. If I'm doing business, yeah, if you have here, they call it production workloads, and here production workloads is referring to I having services running on my AWS, on my VPCs, and then customers are accessing those servers. That's what is referred to here as production workload. So it's out for customers to access. So maybe I deploy my website on AWS, and maybe selling things. Then what will happen is you need that website to run. So that's referred to as production workload. Enterprise is when you have mission critical workloads. So maybe the things I'm running are very critical. Let's say maybe I'm running a certain cryptography website. Let me know, I'm saying cryptocurrency website on AWS, and then it's a very, very critical workload, and it requires that for a website that maybe you are just selling things, it's okay if maybe it goes down for a certain amount of time, and then you try to bring that back, or a website that maybe is just for the company, it's production, but it's not very critical. But if you are running something like cryptocurrency, and then it's a very critical service, you should be thinking of enterprise. So the first thing is to know when should you use those development plans. So you read across. Then you have to know each of these. So AWS Trusted Advisor, we'll come to that later. There are different checks that you can have when you are using AWS Trusted Advisor. And always remember that the things that are available to the developer are automatically inherited by the business. And the things that are available by the business are automatically inherited by the enterprise. So that's why when you see general guidance here for less than 24 hours, you see general guidance on business, and you see that in enterprise, because whatever thing is in developer belongs to business, and whatever is in business belongs to enterprise. For developer, you have just 7 core checks. For the enterprise, for the trusted advisor, and the business and enterprise have full checks. And you always have questions that come across, like which one is for cost effective if you need all the full checks for the trusted advisor. So you need to always know what's in this column, and you always need to know what is required. So if they are looking for the best, the cost-effective solution that will support full checks for AWS Trusted Advisor, this when now you know that enterprise is very expensive, and then cost effective will be business, because both of them exist there. And it goes the same, enhanced technical support. You have to make sure that you notice that for the developer, you have unlimited cases and one primary contact. But for the business, you have unlimited cases and unlimited contacts. That's the difference here. So if your question could come where you require just one primary contact, then you know that it will suit the developer plan. You don't need to, if you are running a business that requires just one primary developer, and that's all information that they have given to you, because they may tell you that that's the other thing. They may mix some of, in the cases, they may say you have production workloads and you need at least one primary contact. Which support plan will be suitable? The fact that they have mentioned that it's a production workload, then you know that it's always going to be the business. You don't just focus on the one primary contact, because at the end of the day, if you have unlimited contacts here, it doesn't mean that you should ask 1,000 contacts, right? You may just need but one. So there are times they mix some of the items, and the only way is to have a way that you can develop to understand all of this. You see, 24/7 support start at the business level, and here you have only email access, and cloud, as I said. The key thing here is case severity. You notice that if business critical system goes down for 15 minutes, just know that it's enterprise. We've seen that a couple of times. Um, we've seen also architectural guidance. They will say you need contextual to your use cases. It's business. If you need more consultative review, yeah, that's enterprise. Notice that for programmatic case management, it comes only on the business and enterprise. Same for third-party software support, business and enterprise. When it comes to programs and services, infrastructure event management always comes with an additional fee when you are dealing with the business. But infrastructure event management comes with the enterprise. We have seen questions in this, review that very well. And if you need well-architected reviews, it's enterprise. Access to proactive reviews, workshops, and deep dives. TAM, that's the technical account manager, belongs only to the enterprise. Access online self-labs is enterprise, just like the concierge support team, and know what this team really is really doing. They are specialized, they are AWS billing and account experts that specialize in working with enterprise accounts. So don't just know that concierge support is only for enterprise, but also know what they do. That's just basically all. For the basic support, um, yeah, you have 24/7 access to documentation, white papers, and support forums. And then AWS Trusted Advisor also gives you 7 core checks and a personalized health dashboard. So for everyone that registered on AWS, you all receive the basic support. You can do this. That's why you can access documentation, white papers. And if you want to access support forums, you can go there. And if you are running some things and you have questions, you can always post there as well. So those there's no shortcut to this apart from making sure that you are very comfortable, and you know how comfortable you are when you are able to answer questions here without getting them wrong, because everything comes from there. Okay. Now the other thing that we need to look into is the well-architected framework, and it's just simple: key concepts, design principles, and architectural best practices for designing and running workloads on the cloud. And the things you should know is operational excellence pillar, which focuses on running and monitoring system to deliver business value and continual improving processes and procedures. So when you know of operational excellence pillar, try to remember what that means. When you talk of security, it's protecting information and systems, confidentiality and integrity of data, right? So I've been emphasizing that all along. What happened? Okay. All right. I think I did put that in the wrong place. Sorry. Then this is still the well-architected framework. You have reliability. It focuses on the ability to prevent and quickly recover from failures to meet business and customer demand. So when you are thinking of high availability, that's where reliability comes in. But it's not called high availability, it's called reliability there, but yeah. Performance efficiency, focusing on using IT and compute resources, cost optimization, avoiding unnecessary cost. And this is a way I figure out you can remember that. Crops, cost optimization, R is for reliability, O is for operational excellence, P is of performance and security. We have seen questions that just ask you to, if you can recognize the points, the ones that belong to well-architected framework. And yeah, so just being able to remember them, and it's good when you do know where they belong. In the revision, we have seen questions go as far as asking you to know which are the services that support, for example, cost optimization, or that helps to bring reliability. Yeah, I don't really think that is the big showstopper. But if you want to look into that, the PDF file from Udemy does an excellent job in doing that for those who may want to go and look into that. But this is very much fair enough. Then the Trusted Advisor is an online tool that provides you real-time guidance to help you provision your resources following AWS best practices. So it checks and help optimize your infrastructure, security performance, and reduce your overall cost and monitor service limits. So what do you mean when you say cost optimization and the trusted advisor? So it will look for unused and idle resources. So this is when you are already having your infrastructure running, you can then use the tool and it will check for unused and idle resources, and let you realize that, yeah, you have some resources standing that are not being used. Performance, it will check to see service limits, ensuring you take advantage of provision throughput and monitoring for overutilized instances. Security will look through the security of your architecture and enable various AWS security features and examining the permissions that you have. Fault tolerance will check for increased availability and redundancy of your AWS application. And yeah, look at auto scaling, health checks, multi-AZ backup capabilities. Service limits, check for service usage that is more than 80% of the service limit. This is something that you can just look into if you're not yet confident. And this is just straight from AWS website. It gives a good picture of what you can do. So this the customer runs the AWS Trusted Advisor tool on its, and then it will look and see and then highlight places where action is needed, and the ones that are good will indicate remote combinations and action links. So yeah, the key thing is to know that Trusted Advisor is a tool to, yeah, help you um yeah, compare your AWS infrastructure for best practices in these key categories. When you talk of reliability in AWS, you always think of fault tolerance. That's the ability for a system to remain in operation even if some of the components used to build the system fail. We define that very well, but this is just to like make sure that's in the forefront. When you talk of fault tolerance, this is completely different from high availability, which is the ability to remain operational during an incident, however, may experience some performance degradation, right? You try to ensure that the system is available, but you may experience degradation. But here, the system should always be to remain in operation, even if some components fail. Um, so there's a difference between fault tolerance and high availability. We did know the difference between these two, the service health dashboard and the personal health dashboard. Service health dashboard is just the general status of all AWS services in every region. The personal health dashboard is just for services that will affect you. So if you are not using any service, you won't see it in the personal health dashboard. The marketplace, AWS marketplace, is where customers, third-party solutions, if you want to buy it gives opportunity for people who have developed solutions and maybe AWS have approved them to sell them on what is referred to as AWS Marketplace, and you can go there and buy, yeah, buy different third-party solutions. Yeah, and charges appear on your AWS bill when you do buy them. So not really much to talk about here. We did talk about
I have a
Snowball.
question.
Yes, go ahead, make a
Yeah, I
comment.
was about to ask, like, is there a possibility of selling your reserve instances in the marketplace?
Reserve instances.
Reserve, right? You reserve instances.
Reserve instances. I think there is. I think we have seen that. Let me come back to that. But yeah, I think there is. In the marketplace, you can sell reserve instances. I mean, at the top of my head, I think because I remember coming across that reserve instances. But someone can check. Let's come back to that later, if you won't mind.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. Large scale data transfer. You use this when you are doing migration, AWS Snowball, service to physical migrate petabyte scale data to AWS. Snowmobile, there was a picture that we saw. You actually take, Snowmobile is like, think of containers that, uh, you see, I'm sure, I trust you all know what I'm talking about. Service to physically migrate exabyte scale data onto AWS. Notice here is exabyte scale of data. Snowball is petabyte scale of data. Uh, there are some questions that always come and they require if you know these different teams, like you have enterprise support team. These are support engineers and technical account managers. You have solution architects, they help customers architect solutions on AWS. You have professional services, paid service teams that help customers deploy solutions on AWS. You have the AWS abuse team, which is a trust and safety team that assists you when AWS resources are used to engage in the following types of abusive behavior: spam. If you are receiving unwanted emails from an AWS on IP address or AWS resources, you should contact the abuse team. I think Jodo does a good job in explaining some of these services. Once, if you are revising, make sure you really look into how they break that down the same way they do for the partner network thing. You have AWS partner network technology partners, and you have the network consulting partners. The key difference about these two is that one is in charge of the technology partner provides software tools and services that are hosted or on or integrate with AWS. These types of partners include software vendors and providers. Then you have the consulting partners, and they are in charge of system integrators. They've actually designed, I like the definition in Jodo, if you're trying to design and architect um, and architect services on AWS. I see a question there coming on Snowball Edge. Thank you for that. I think that's one that I did miss, but yeah, that is another component of that is required. I think, let me just bring that up here straight from the website. So we had a question here, or the, yeah, it's Snowball Edge. That's what I was looking for. AWS Snowball Edge. Okay, it's another way to move data um, into AWS, and I wanted it to go to Snowball Edge immediately. Okay, this is Snowball Mobile that we did talk about. This is Snowball. Um, the Snowball Edge, and it has a compute functionality. Now, AWS Snowball Edge storage optimized. Now, there's compute optimized. So these are the different scenario. They are also used for moving data, and these are the different sets amounts of data they can move. So the difference with the Snowball compute, as you hear, comes with some computing capabilities. And if we remember very well during the discussions, if you want to do some machine learning functionality before you move the data, so yeah, you can use that. So yes, I would advise everyone to look at Snowball Edge. I did miss to do detailed explanation, and that what I just have is what we have here at the moment. And you can always have a good view of that on the website. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yes, so where are we now? Okay, well, I think that's all that we have. All the key things in regards to the exam. I've touched the concepts that don't fall under. I did that was I call it domain 5. Other key concepts, which was the trusted advisor, reliability, marketplace, data transfer, and this. That's just basically all that we have.